Hi, I'm Betsy, and this is CAM Matters. Today we're going to be talking with Connie Lorenz from Asphalt Restoration Technologies. She calls herself, or someone has named her, the Asphalt Chick. And so we're going to be talking about the exciting topic of paving and all of the things that you will need to know before you start the project, but not only that, the planning for it as far as the money goes and different options that you have. And you'll learn that one option will be like a mud pack on your face, and the other option is going to be a moisturizer on your face. So which one do you want on your asphalt? Come join us.
Welcome to CAM Matters, Condos, Co-ops, HOAs, and beyond. Betsy Barbieux is an informational leader in Florida on community association living, rights, and obligations. She is an expert on the rights and obligations of owners as well as the association. If you live or are planning to live in the state of Florida, there's a good chance you'll be part of a community association. And by the end of this show, you'll know a little bit more about community associations and why they matter.
Hi, welcome to CAM Matters. I am Suzanne Lynn with Betsy Barbieux, who is the boss of this whole thing. No. We're talking about all things community association manager related. And today we've got a guest.
Yes, we do. We have one of my favorite people, Connie Lorenz, Asphalt Restoration Technologies. And I think she has the term Asphalt Chick trademarked and assigned to her, but
that's a cool name.
Well, she's working in a man's world, but I tell you what, she is dynamite and knows a lot about asphalt, and she can actually talk in normal layman's terms.
I'm glad about that because I don't know any slang from the asphalt world. Connie, welcome. I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, Connie, real quick, why don't you just kind of start about where your business is at, where you're located, and how you got into it as the Asphalt Chick?
Well, I'm located in beautiful Orlando, Florida, and we cover the entire state of Florida. I am the proprietary distributor of a product called Pavement Dressing Conditioner. It's an asphalt rejuvenator that is designed to extend the life of asphalt. And how I got into the asphalt industry, I used to tell people it's bad luck. But actually, I took a no-brainer job as a secretary at an asphalt company, found $1.5 million missing. The owner said, turn my company around, I'll give it to you. And as a single mother, I got the business handed to me in 2006.
Wow, that is a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She is.
Well, I love asphalt.
If I was $1.5 million, I would love asphalt too. Yes. Well, where do we start as far as asphalt and community living? I mean, the first thing I think of as a homeowner is how do I know if the roads need to be asphalted and taken care of, and most importantly, who's going to pay?
Right? Homeowner wants to know who's going to pay.
Homeowners, yeah. Well, the first thing that's most important that people need to look at is their reserves. We have a lot of communities that have old reserves set up that have 20-year life expectancies on asphalt. We haven't had an inch of asphalt last 20 years in over 30 years. So the first place we need to start is we need to get our reserves right, based off of a 10 to 15 year life cycle, depending on the depth that we go. So asphalt is one great thing is it's 100% recyclable. However, it also starts breaking down from the moment it's mixed together at the plant due to the high elements of the temperatures that it's created in. We then drag it to the property. We might have it sit on the site for a few hours before we put it in. Might get over compacted, might be cold weather, might be rainy. We don't know. But either way, as soon as it's in place, it starts breaking down. And so an asphalt maintenance program should begin from the moment that a community is started. But usually most communities can't because they're still trying to get things turned over from the developer. Yeah. And they finally get when the community is built out a couple years later, then they've all of a sudden got to start their reserves. And nobody really thinks of asphalt until they drive through their first pothole or get a northern resident said, wait a minute, every year we seal coat and by golly, these roads should be seal coated, not understanding that we live in a different environment and what works up in the northern climates with a freeze thaw cycle actually is very detrimental to our pavement and can reduce it, the life expectancy.
So I'm going to start out really, really basic. When we talk about asphalt, we're talking about the road, not the sidewalks, not the curbs, just the
black stuff.
the black stuff.
The black
All right.
Not concrete.
Right.
The black stuff.
Tar, oil, and sand. But if you're from up north, you never see asphalt oxidized to the level that we do because they don't have the elements that we do. So we have a lot of northerners come in that think our asphalt is actually concrete.
Oh, because it's a light color?
Because it oxidizes to white. When the surface oil is oxidized, the pavement goes from a nice rich black to a gray to a white. And that's when the communities say, wait a minute, we need black pavement, free porches and golf.
Let's put that paint stuff on it.
That's right.
Put that black paint on there. So, how do we know when we need paving?
Well, you know when you need paving, if you have exposure to like a pothole or something and you could see the thickness, that's one of the first things I look for when I get onto a property and I could see the depth of the existing asphalt. We have some communities that were built back in the late 2000s that were before the crash that took out buyouts from developers instead of doing the final asphalt lift. And what happened is they had the contractors lift down, which is what they put down. It's just a very thin lift for the construction of the community. And then once all of the construction is done, they do what's called a developer's lift or a final lift to cover all of the scars and defects. Well, back in 2007, 2008, when we had the oil crisis and we had the recession, a lot of those people, the developer said, well, look at this. The roads aren't so bad. So how about I give you $250,000 towards your reserves and we call it a good day? And nobody knew where the next dollar was coming from. So people took it. And then in a couple of years, when the roads started falling apart because they only had a 1/4 inch contractors left, and they started getting the price tags of $1 million for the overlay, that was like, wow, that wasn't such a great deal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
There are different things that you can do to, as I understand it, and I do have to, full disclosure, I guess, it is that Connie has worked on 2 properties of mine.
Okay.
And I tell you what, her crew is great to work with.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, they're great to work with. But on a dumb it way down on a level of how we've got potholes, but then we've got, I know you come out and you look at I don't know, like some of it turns to gravel.
That's called raveling.
Okay.
That's where the binders just gave up.
Yeah, and it just kind of looks like gravel. Right. But I know,
And we see that in areas that water stands or like under your drip lines on that property there. When you have a tree canopy, the water drips down. The water is your universal solvent. So it breaks down the pavement faster. So anywhere you've got standing water, running water, or any kind of drip effect, you'll see that will deteriorate faster.
Okay.
So kind of going back to who pays for it.
I'm always worried about the money.
I'm not quite sure I'm satisfied with this yet. So when you talk about the reserves, I mean, is this all built into our HOA fees, for example, or
the reserves, which we've talked a little bit about before, are the monies that we set aside each month for the long-term, big ticket, long-term projects. So like roofing, paving, painting, resurfacing pools, replacing equipment, pool equipment, and replacing all the things in a clubhouse and clubhouse kitchens and things like that.
So this is along those lines.
So we are required by statute to save for the paving in condos and co-ops. We're required by statute. So what happens is that you have to determine the useful life of the paving, which is what Connie was talking about.
And it needs to be realistic.
And it needs to be realistic. It's not going to be 30 years.
Right.
It's going to be more like 10 or 15 or 20. And then you have to reevaluate the cost to replace every year because of inflation. So you might have been saving, for conversation's sake, $100 a month for paving each month. 15 years ago.
Sure.
That $100 a month then is not going to go as far.
Absolutely.
In today's time. So you've got to continue to adjust that reserve schedule so that you stay on track, so that when I have to call Connie to come repave, theoretically, ideally, we've got that money in the bank already.
Okay.
And so that if your board and your management have done a good job, most
You're
of the
okay.
money should be there.
Sure.
So it shouldn't be an extra expense, special assessment to the owners
Okay.
if everybody has done a good job.
So is there a difference between a cheap job and a quality job? I mean,
Oh, yes.
really? Okay. Okay.
Yes. I come in behind a lot of bad jobs. And then when I vet the client about how they vetted their contractors, sometimes I have to walk away because they let it happen to themselves.
Sure. It was my brother-in-law, well,
Ralph from New Jersey.
But going back to something that Betsy said, we can take the new pavement mixes and we can get 20 to 30 years out of it based off of the asphalt maintenance program that we set up. And I always tell people, some communities do crisis management where pothole, I'll fix it, depression, I'll fix it. And then we have other people that do preventative maintenance. And the cost of maintenance for the long term is far better when you start with the right asphalt program to begin with. You can actually extend the life of your asphalt. Or if you're a property that has to be aesthetically pleasing all the time, like a clubhouse or something, just know that we can always make the parking lot black using a seal coat, but that's going to probably reduce the life expectancy. Right property, right place, right time. So I always recommend if you got a clubhouse and you host events there all the time, put down the water-based emulsions, but just be prepared that you're going to have to probably replace that pavement sooner. But on your roadways that you travel to get to through your community, put down a rejuvenator. Put those binders back in there, recondition them, and help extend the life of it. We have actually worked on a property in Nokomis that we have actually doubled the life expectancy of their asphalt, and we will now get another 7 years.
Wow.
They wanted to get to 2015. The 2015 is where they stopped, actually 2013, but our rejuvenator got to 2015. And we are now getting ready to do another treatment that will take them into 2027.
Yeah,
We're getting a whole
remember you telling me about a community in Southwest Florida that had, I don't know, 10 or 20 or 30 years on their pavement.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because the board...
The engineer came in and said the pavement was 8 years old. And I said, I'm sorry, the pavement is actually 40 years old. We had done 3 treatments of rejuvenator. So be very careful about what people say. If you don't pull a core sample and you don't have documents, don't listen to somebody go, oh, well, that looks 2 or that looks 8. I've been in this for 25 years and I have to really go back and use historical imagery, talk to the community.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. And I've got what I think might be just a myth or wives' tale. And I want you to answer to that, Connie. Okay, so hang on. We're going to be right back.
Are you ready for a new career? Do you have skills or interest in management, real estate, construction, maintenance, accounting, strategic planning, project management, budgets, human resource management, lawn and landscaping, pool services, or any other expertise needed to operate a community association? If you do, community association management could be for you. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Florida Community Association Management continues to grow. Career opportunities abound.
Welcome back to CAM Matters. Suzanne Lynn with Betsy Barbieux and Connie Lorenz she's the Asphalt Chick.
Asphalt Chick.
Asphalt Chick. And I have heard, and I don't know if this is true, when it comes to asphalt, I always thought it meant that your tires were low. But if you're on asphalt and you hear like a squeal or a squeak with your tires, that means it's worn or that it needs to be redone.
No friction, yeah. When you use so seal coating is a water-based emulsion, whether it be an asphalt or a coal tar base, it's mixed with water. So water seeks its own level. So when you put this product down, it fills in the natural peaks and valleys of your pavement, which then, of course, that's how we stop. That's our friction course.
Makes it slick.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes it slick. And you could even see it on some properties when I pull in and the pavement just looks like super shiny, slippery.
It's so pretty.
Oh,
but it's dangerous.
we've still coated like every year for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you're not doing your pavement any favors.
Okay.
Well, and I specialize in 55 and older communities, and so I know how the rains hit, and I know how the rains hit hard, and say this very graciously, but we tend to take beautiful communities and we build up swampland, and we put these gorgeous communities, and then Mother Nature takes back. So when we start flooding out in the middle of our rainy season, everybody's like, do something. I'm like, water seeks its own. It's only going to go as deep as the lake lets it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is there a difference? I mean, if you, let's say this, I know that there's a difference between the asphalt in the north and the south. What would you say to someone, to, Fred, who's moved here from New York and says, by golly, you're not doing the pavement right because, it's not, it doesn't look like what I'm used to. How is it different in the weather that it's wearing, and why do you do what you do?
Well, our northern residents could be some of they're our best friends, but our worst enemies. And the reason why is they come from a freeze-thaw cycle, usually that has 6 to 9 inches of asphalt. And every winter they get potholes, and then every spring they just drive through them. So when they come down and they see our inch asphalt in just a little shallow puddle, they're like, that's nothing.
Right.
If you say, I'd love to have this asphalt up north, not understanding, first off, it's their fiduciary right that they have to maintain their property. First off, not just dismiss it. But what happens is when you look at, I don't think anybody has pencils anymore, but if you look at a pencil eraser, that's about the size of a 57 stone, which is in your asphalt. Well, in a 1-inch lift, we get 2 to maybe 3 stones thick. So when we ravel down to 1 stone thick, that's basically rocks holding hands.
Oh,
so
wow.
Just pothole in one area, it doesn't mean the rest of it's good. It just means that's the weakest area. The rest of it hasn't revealed itself. And when I come on property, I can actually see where things are starting to come, or where I can see a sub base is shifting and it hasn't reflected up yet. So the northern residents don't understand that even though it might look better than what they have up north, we don't work with the same depth. We have a total asphalt is indigenous to each area. So we're not bringing New York asphalt in Florida.
Right.
Yeah. Now you've used the word rejuvenation a couple of times. How is that different than milling?
Okay, well, so milling is where we come in when we've determined that there's no more life, or it's going to cost us too much to maintain the existing asphalt cap. We never want to put new asphalt on top of old asphalt because it shifts. It's kind of like putting tile on top of shag carpeting. It'll look really good until
bad picture.
Okay,
picture green.
And so we want to come in and grind it up. We still want to leave some scab so it has a friction core so that our new asphalt could lay on top of it. We want to put down, I used to say 1 inch would be the recommended depth, but now it's 1.5 inches because of our new mixes. So that's a brand new overlay. That's 10 to 15 years depending on your traffic, whether you're gated, not gated, your water stuff.
Is that what I see them doing on the turnpike all the time with the
always
they're doing the milling and all that stuff coming up, and then they heat it and mix it with some more and put it back down. So that's the milling.
That's RAP. That's reclaimed asphalt products. They don't bring it down. That's a couple of processes, but yes, they pull it up, take it back to the plant, mix it with more, and then bring it back. It's 100% recyclable. Rejuvenation is, if it's a true asphalt rejuvenator, it's actually designed to replace the maltings that have been lost due to oxidation. So
can we dumb that down? Is that like putting the oil back in it?
Correct. So how
I want to dumb it down.
You're good.
If you had dry skin, you would put on a lotion. But if you wanted to clean your face, or you would do a mud mask. So the difference is a mud mask would dry on your face and crack. Seal coating cracks. I'm just saying.
Seal coating cracks. Like a mud face pack.
And then lotion goes in and soaks into your skin and conditions your skin. And
like a moisturizer. There you go. Oh, that is really good.
So it conditions your skin.
That is good.
Now this we understand.
We understand that one. Yeah, that's good. That's a real good.
So the rejuvenation is designed to penetrate the maltings, which is the only chemical that breaks down from your pavement. That's the only thing that oxidizes. So it comes in and it mimics the maltings and penetrates the pavement and gives it back the plasticity or the ductility that it needs to be flexible. So when you have like some of your properties that are near large bodies of water, those are floating bases. So they rise and settle as the water table adjusts. But in lieu
Oh,
of that,
wow.
they crack like a checkerboard. It looks like a checkerboard or a patchwork quilt, and that's the nature of the sub base. And so with that expansion and that contraction, we are always going to have to deal with those cracks, but we can actually put down a product that will keep the rest of the product from breaking down. No matter, by the way, if you have a soil cement base, you will forever have those cracks. So don't ever just pave because you want to get rid of the cracks, because they're going to be back in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Paving because you lost your friction course, you have too many potholes. When your pavement costs more than a third in repairs to take care of it, to cut loose and go for the gold, save another couple bucks and replace it the right way.
So what we're doing with the community that you're working with now, that's mine, we're doing the rejuvenation.
You're doing the rejuvenation.
Right. We did we had some repair to do first. We had that raveling thing around all the kind of the curves where the trees are and water would stand. So she's come in and fixed that, and then coming back in about 2 weeks to do the rejuvenation.
Right.
So we're going to have a it's like a facial.
Okay. There you go.
Facial for the asphalt.
Does it matter if it's raining or what the weather is and everything? I mean, are you slower during the summertime because of weather, or how does that work?
If you work with a water-based emulsion or a seal coating, this is one of the hardest times to seal coat, because you have to have dry weather 24 hours before and 24 hours after, which ain't happening in Florida.
Right.
Right.
And what's so cool is, remember, water's heavier than oil, and this is an oil-based product. So when you apply it, it appears kind of streaky. So where the rubber meets the road is more compacted, so it takes a little longer to penetrate than the edges of the roadway. So if we get a nice gentle rain about 2 or 3 hours after my guys finish, it is the best thing that can happen, because it helps cure it faster.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually great. And so it's so backwards to people, because with water-based emulsions, that's the worst thing you can do. It washes away your product. But with my product, it's actually backwards. But I will tell you that if we get a gully washer, as my guys put it, a gully washer, Miss Connie, when we get a gully washer, if it's too soon, it will actually go under. It will beat through go under the rejuvenator and make these little bubbles. And then we drag chain link fence across the pavement and pop the little bubbles, and it goes back to normal. Really cool.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You are true. You have earned your name, the Asphalt Chick. You know your stuff, man. This was great. I learned a lot.
And I have to say that working with her office staff, I'm not usually out on site when it's happening, but working with the staff and getting the owners prepared and sending out notices and do's and don'ts, because you've got to remember to stop the trash trucks, alert the mailman,
healthcare,
deliveries, healthcare, care workers, people who drive in and out.
Is that Connie?
Well, they give us, as managers, they give us a whole list of reminders and notices to put on the doors, notices to send out by email, because you've got to coordinate quite a few things, because you don't want any driving on it.
Right.
And think of well, right now everybody's getting everything delivered by Amazon and UPS and FedEx.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to.
I always tell my clients that I'm only going to look as good as you let me. So if we're going to have residents that are going to come through and breach the barriers and say, I am coming to my house and I'm going to drive through that barricade, and they're going to track, it's not if they drive, they will track material on their driveway. All I can do is to stand there. My daughter is over in Lakeland right now on a job site on a seal coat job, mind you, and an 18-wheeler just drove through the barricades, just like 15 minutes before I got online with you. And I'm like, hey.
You know, yeah. And the thing is, it will also track into their house.
Yeah.
If they walk on it, it will track into their house. So, you know, you all you can do is put out notices, information. I'm sending out emails. We're putting out flyers. And if you're going to walk to the pool, you got to walk around and go through the back to get to the pool.
Do web pages.
It's only like 24 hours, right?
Yeah. I mean,
only 24. Yeah, but to some people, 2 hours is too long.
Yeah, you know.
But it is 24 hours. And well, actually, if we finish at like 2 o'clock on the afternoon, we'll show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and remove the barriers and it's done.
Okay.
So it's not even 24 hours.
Yeah. But she did another job for me a couple of years ago, and it turned out really, really well. And it was more of the road had a little more traffic than what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she marked it off and did one half of the road one day, and then
that's great.
put barriers up and did the other half of the road the
Connie,
next
it's
day.
stuff we just wouldn't think about. We'd
you've
be
gotta
like,
coordinate.
shoot, we should have had one lane.
You've got to
So,
remember to
yeah.
turn off the sprinklers.
Oh, man.
They're just things that you have to remember to do, but they're real good at giving you the list.
We do. A lot of the people ask me where I came up with it. And I was like, I don't know if it's because I am a woman in a male dominated field, but when I look at my competitors and I'm like, well, you did tell them, because I always get called out. I'm also an asphalt consultant. So I get called out on my competitors' bad jobs. And I'm like, when I get with them, I'm like, well, you did do this. Well, no. Well, why didn't you do? Well, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a homeowner, and I would be pretty ticked if my association did notify me and I come tracking through thinking it's nothing, and I track material up onto my driveway.
Absolutely.
They have a right to know. And so communication is vital. And so we women tend to over communicate, and that's okay.
We're list makers.
And she puts up a nice list.
That's
her
good.
Staff does.
Laminated
Well, and I'm sure the list has come about by trial and error too. You learn from
by trial
other
and error.
people's mistakes, other people's mistakes, and your mistakes, and it's like, oh yeah, I need to remind owners to do this or not do that. Yeah.
Just came up with a new class. It's called Overcoming Obstacles During Your Paving Project. And that's exactly what the CEU class is about, is the unexpected things that you're going to come across during any roadway, whether it be surface or paving. And I have seen some things. Watch for that one.
Connie also this year and last year has been one of my facilitators for my yearly educational summit. We've talked about the yearly educational summit before, the YES event.
Mm-hmm.
And Connie is the roundtable expert on paving. So those who take our continuing ed class this August, Lord willing, that we won't be shut down, but Lord willing, Connie will be our paving expert at that roundtable.
Awesome.
For our managers.
That's great. Connie, how can we get information about your company, and how can people get a hold of you?
Well, my website is www.asphaltnews.com. I'm also asphaltchick.com. Remember the other one?
Or that one I'll remember. Yeah.
Right. That's, I did not make that up. It was the people in trade shows that go, that girl, the Asphalt Chick. And I
They just hung it on you. They hung it on you. They hung it on you.
Or you could give us a call at 1-800-254-4732. Like I said, we cover the entire state of Florida. Nothing is too small. What I'd like to do, if it is
obviously not.
Okay.
if it's one of the smaller communities, what I like to do is I like to try to blend it with another larger community and give the smaller community the financial break. Because they still got to maintain their asphalt, but there's only 12 of them versus 700 of those.
Yeah,
Sure.
Right.
We could stop by for an hour and fix a pothole.
Connie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you in August.
I do too. I can't wait to see humans.
I know, really, human beings.
That's right. Connie, thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to CAM Matters. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more information, feel free to email Betsy at betsy@floridacamschools.com or visit the Florida Cam Schools website at www.floridacamschools.com. Information provided on this show is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact a licensed attorney for your specific situation.